Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, 23 Flavors of Stitching. My name is Kirsten and today is going to be my 2023 WIP parade. So exciting. So I normally do my WIP parade at my anniversary of doing my Flosstube channel. However, at that point in time, I will have a 1-month-old. And so I thought that it might be fun to do it, to at least film it before I have my daughter, and I'll most likely post it before then, before she even comes. But I wanted to at least get it done this year because since I don't film it at the beginning of the year, just before my life turns crazy, or even more crazy, I figured it would be probably a good thing to do. Hold on just one second. All right, I opted to open the windows a little bit, or open the blinds a little bit, and then my nose got the news that I was recording and decided to start running. So, and then I also put my smell in the diffuser. I don't know if anyone uses essential oils on here, but if you want to see what I use, I know this is WIP parade, this will be fast. As some of you know, I worked for an essential oil company for a little bit before we moved, so that's where I got all my essential oils from. And in the diffuser I have Citrus Bliss and vanilla, and I did 5 drops of Citrus Bliss and 3 or 4 drops of vanilla, and it kind of just smells like a creamsicle, so it smells good. There you have it. Okay, let's get started. So, as some people may know, the Naptime Stitcher is doing a Summer Stitches challenge, and so I am going to show you the WIPs that I have that are going to be worked on in the near future, because the Summer Stitches challenge starts tomorrow, the 26th of June. Just so that where they are at as of today officially gets shown at the beginning. So let's start with those projects. So up first we have One Nation. Sorry, I did not plan ahead. Okay. One Nation by Bygone Stitches, which is the big flag, and it has the states in the order that they joined the Union. And alright, I am stitching this on 18 count that I coffee tea dyed myself, and here's where we are at. I hope you can see it all. So I got really nervous that I started this corner too far over, so I came all the way over, and now I'm also partially working down to make sure that I have enough room at the bottom as well. Oh no, my needle minder just fell. Okay, this is a hot mess, but I need to pick that up before someone steps on it. Okay, someone meaning me or my dogs. Okay, so I'm not using the called for colors. My LNS did not have the called for colors when I went in to buy them, so I did my own little conversion. I am using that's weird. Okay, I am using Classic Colorworks Cherry Cobbler, Classic Colorworks Wavy Navy, and then Weeks Dye Works Whitewash. And I like that the Cherry Cobbler gives it more of a weathered look. All right, and that is it for this one, but we have to put it back neatly, or else everything will be everywhere. I made my project bag myself. I also made my zipper pull myself. So, there's that. Next up is Through the Storms by Silver Creek Samplers. I started this as an anniversary start, I think last year. Have not worked on it since then. And it says, no relationship is all sunshine, but two people can share one umbrella and walk through the storms together. So, here's where we are at. Like I said, I haven't worked on it since I started it. I am stitching it on 16 count pewter, I think. 16 count pewter, and I am doing my own conversion. I am just using what I had in my stash, so I'm using a lot of Weeks Dye Works and Forbidden Fiber Co. They do have, this does have Weeks Dye Works called for, but I didn't have any of the called for Weeks Dye Works, and so yeah, they're all just, I kind of put them up to the cover photo, and I was looking at what would work the best. So, and we're missing one, so there they are. There's too many to go through, but there they are. And this one is actually going to get worked on a few times throughout the Summer Stitches Challenge, which will be good. Alright, up next is one that I showed in my last Flosstube update, and this is 'Twas a Fair Night by Stone Street Stitchworks. I'm going to pull up the cover photo on my iPad. This is what it will look like when it's all done. This is where I am at. I am stitching it on 18 count opalescent raw linen Aida. And besides DMC 310, I am doing my own conversion for the white and the red. And the colors that I am using are Roxy Floss Legendary and Roxy Floss Encore. And I'm really liking how that one is turning out. This is one that I've been working on most recently. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna work on today after I film the video. But who knows, maybe I won't stitch today because I'm filming a WIP parade. Okay, up next is, I started this for Earth Day last year, I think, and I haven't worked on it since. It is design 1 in cross stitch for the earth. I have been just calling it unplug and go outside because that's what it says. But that's what it'll look like when it's all done. And I really love a lot of these patterns. There is a lot of detail in them, and there's a lot of backstitch in them. And so that makes it so that I don't want to stitch on them. But they're beautiful and I love them. So like this one, there's a lot of color changes, especially with where I started, so I probably need to move up. And then there's a lot of back stitch also where I started, like down in the flowers and stuff. But I also, yeah, I don't have the only pattern I have is in this book. So I think that makes it a little harder for me as well because of like marking it off and stuff. I don't want to mark it off in the book, but also because it's printed in color makes it a little harder for me. So I thought I had like tried to photocopy it or something, but then everything, I don't remember. But anyway, I'm using the called for DMC and I'm stitching it on 16 count white, and that's where we are at. So this is getting 1 day of work for the Summer Stitches Challenge. There are a couple more days that it could possibly work for, but I was trying to go through things that I've actually been wanting to work on and picking those for the challenge. Okay. Up next is another one that I've been working on recently. This is in my, I made this bag. I don't think, I did not make this zipper pull. I don't know where I got it from, but I did make the bag. This was the first project bag I ever made with Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch is tutorial, so the zipper's a little wonky. And then I made this zipper pull. Okay. This is Sunflowers Make Me Happy by Puntini Puntini. This is what it will look like when it's all done. Kind of. I am doing my own conversion, and I'm making the girl look like me, but that's not the only thing that I converted. I am just using colors from my stash, and I'm stitching it on 16 count parchment. So I made the girl more blonde, and then I'm also going to do blue eyes. And then it calls for all DMC, which is fine. I just was wanting to use up some of my Forbidden Fiber Co. and other flosses, so I did my own conversion, and I am using some DMC, but not the called for. I can't remember if I didn't have the called for or what was happening, but there's all the colors. This one is getting a few days of work as well during the challenge. Okay. And then there's only two more, and they are slotted for the same day depending on what I want to work on. So let's see. The first one is I just call it Sugar Skull. It's by Tiny Modernist, and I bought it in her Day of the Dead trio on Etsy. That's what it'll look like when it's done. In case you're new here, I have Mexican heritage, and my husband served a church mission for 2 years in Mexico, and his mom grew up in Mexico. And we don't necessarily celebrate Day of the Dead, but I like the happy colors, and like the vibrant colors. And so that's what I decorate our house with for October instead of the creepy Halloween. So I made this bag specifically for this project. And then this zipper pull I got, it has my, oh, you can't really tell, stamped on it. It has my first initial and my maiden name initial. And I got it when I ordered some handmade leather sandals, I think. Okay. I am stitching this on 14 count black, so you can see all of my dog's hair. That's where we're at. I don't know if I will do all of the back stitch on this piece, just because I feel like you can see the flowers pretty well already. So there's that, and I think I'm using all the called for DMC. Yeah. And then, so that one, or I honestly don't know where this other one is. Okay. I also made this bag myself. And the zipper pull. Okay. So this is Gather Here by Hello from Liz Matthews. And that's what it will look like when it's done. And the prompt for this day that these two are slotted for is, let's see. Is stargazing, and so you're supposed to stitch on something with dark fabric or dark floss. So Sugar Skull is in there for the dark fabric. If I decide that I want to work on this instead, it's because it has dark floss. So this is where we are at. I'm stitching it on 18 count probably Fiddler's cloth, or oatmeal, either. And I have not worked on this very much. And I am stitching it using Gentle Arts wrought iron, which is kind of like a bluish black. It's really pretty. So. But I opted for this one just in case because it doesn't have any color changes. All right, now just whichever ones I pull. So, up next, I also made this bag, and I made the zipper pull. Up next, this is Citrus by Huga Cross Stitch on Etsy. I think she's changed it to just say fruit or fruits now, but that's what it'll look like when it's all done. I am stitching it on 16 count ice blue, and I can't remember if I'm using the called for or if I'm just using things that looked like the called for. So here are the 4 colors that I'm using, all DMC. And this is where we are at. I think I started this as a March Madness start last year. Next, in another bag that I made, and I also made the zipper pull on this one. This is a charm that I had from one of my aunts who makes jewelry. I've had it for a long time. This project is Let me see if I have. So originally I bought this pattern as a paper chart, and then I didn't like stitching it as a paper chart, so I went and bought it as a PDF. And this is Flosstube Friends by October House Fiber Arts. This is what it, oh, okay, that's okay. This is what it will look like. Oh no. Okay, this is what it will look like. That's the best I can do. Hold on. Let's lock it. Okay, that's what it'll look like when it's done. I'm stitching it on 18 count that I coffee tea dyed myself. I have not stitched it since I started it, and this is a very sad start. That's all. But I'm hoping now that I have the PDF version of it that it'll be easier for me to work on. I just need to pull it out. And I am doing okay. I am doing all of the DMCs for it, I believe. Ow, that actually really hurt. Yeah, I'm doing all of the DMCs for it. They do mostly, they call for Weeks Dye Works and Classic Colorworks. Mostly Weeks Dye Works called for, but I'm doing the DMC conversion for it. Okay, up next, I don't know where the pattern for this one is. I was stitching it. So the iPad that I was using crapped out on me and it wouldn't stay charged. And now I can't get it to turn on. So I lost some things, which is unfortunate. And I was stitching this based off of a magazine, which I could probably just re-download it if I wanted. Let's see if I can find. Okay. Come on. All right. So it is Knee High by Hands On Design. I'm stitching it on 18 count dirty. 18 count dirty. Oops. And I'm doing my own conversion. I've not worked on it very much. Here. So I'm using a little bit of everything. They called for mostly Gentle Arts, and I am doing just what I had in stash that I thought matched the picture. So I have some Victorian Motto, some Weeks Dye Works, which they also have some Weeks Dye Works called for, but not the ones that I had. Forbidden Fiber Co., Classic Colorworks, DMC, Gentle Arts, and Roxy Floss Co. So those are all the colors. Next up is a full coverage piece that you've seen recently. This is Augusta National by Awesome Pattern Studio. This is what it will look like when it's all done. I'm stitching this for my husband. I believe he said this is hole 12 on Augusta National Golf Course, where the Masters is played every year. I'm stitching it on 16 count white using the called for DMC. And basically all of this happened this year in the month of May. And I think I'm at 21% done. The only part that I had done before that was like this little gold section here and some of this section. And then I moved the pattern to Pattern Keeper, and it was a lot easier to work on, so alrighty. Up next, hiccup. Where did this one go? There we go. Okay. Up next, bag that I made. It's a little small. And a zipper pull that I made is Lahaina, Hawaii by Awesome Pattern Studio. I started this as my New Year, New Start in 2022. We were on Maui and in the town of Lahaina for the new year. I'm stitching it on 18 count fog by Picture This Plus, and I'm using the called for DMC, or I think mostly the called for. I think I might have subbed a couple out, but I haven't gotten very far on it. I'd like to get further. I lost lost some speed on my cities that I've been to and stitching them. But I told myself that I couldn't start any more until I finished one because I have 3 going right now, so I need to figure that out. Alright, up next is, I call it Starry Nights, and it is a PDF from Vlada X Stitch on Etsy. That's what it'll look like when it's done. However, we don't have our camper anymore, so this was gonna go in there, so I don't know when I'll pull this out next. Because we are trying to sell our camper. But I'm stitching it on .14 count ivory. I'm using the called for DMC except for one color. I'm using a Forbidden Fiber Co instead. And here's where we're at. We do want to get another camper eventually, so maybe if I just get it done for that. Okay, and next is, I have a degree by Print and Decor on Etsy. I am not using the called for colors, but I am using similar colors. This is what it will look like when it's done. I'm stitching it on 16 count white. And haven't worked on it since I started it, basically. Here's where we're at. I am using DMC 3842 for the blue and 3820 for the yellow. I started it for the day that I walked for graduation last spring. Okay. Up next, in a bag from Evertote, is let me see if I can find a picture of it. I don't know where the cover photo is. It's probably elsewhere. Okay. It is Moonshine Cabin by Modern Folk Embroidery. That's what it'll look like when it's all done. I am stitching it with the called for colors from Roxy Floss. Here they are. And then they also sent you just as much as you need of the red, because the red was dyed specifically for this pattern. And I'm stitching it on, oh, I can't even remember. That's good. 16 count Midnight Gray. And here's where we are at. Needle minder I made myself. This one was going to get a few days on the Summer Stitch Challenge, but I decided to do some other ones instead. Alright, up next is from Forbidden Fiber Co. This was their Yellowstone box. It is Sharks and Minnows. It says there's sharks and minnows in this world. If you don't know which one you are, you ain't a shark. Minus some expletives. And I'm using the called for Palomino fabric dyed by Forbidden Fiber Co. as well as the called for floss that they dyed for it. And here's where we are at. Oh, that is a mess. Here's where we are. And then the needle minder says, don't make me send RIP. This one is nice to work on once you get it to the point where you're doing fill-in, but I did all of my fill-in and now I don't want to count. So, but I do love this pattern. Okay. Next, in a bag from, ooh, who did this bag? I can't remember who made this bag, but it's a nice one. I feel like this is a Sirena stitching bag, but it doesn't have her tag on it. But that's mostly who I've purchased bags from. Okay, up next is Cinnamon Stars by Plum Street Samplers. I am doing mostly the DMC conversion, except for I'm using one color from Anchor and I'm doing one Weeks Dye Works. Or 2 Weeks Dye Works, I guess. 2 Weeks Dye Works and an Anchor, but I'm doing mostly the DMC conversion. I'm stitching it on 16 count Country French Cafe Mocha, I believe. Yes. And this is where we got to. Not super far. I did make a working copy of the first page. Yeah. And so I just need to pull that back out. think. I'm trying to decide if I do my last initial or my first initial, where the S is. Probably my last. Alright. Next up, in a Sirena stitching bag, we always left out Coke for Santa when I was growing up, and so Santa with Coke kind of brings me back to my childhood. Is Praiseworthy Stitches Simple Gifts Christmas. I do not have a good start on this one, but I am stitching it on 16 count oatmeal. I'm doing my own color conversion. That's my pitiful little start. This was the first big purchase that I ever made at my LNS, at my old LNS up in northern Utah, and they didn't have the called for colors that I needed, so I just went off of the picture. So I'm doing all Gentle Arts, and I'm doing Weathered Barn for the red, Wheat Fields for the yellow, and Otter Creek for the green. I'm also thinking that with some of these bigger projects, now that I have Q-snaps, might make me want to work on them more. Okay. And in here, this is a bag I got off of Etsy. It's Blackbird Design fabric. Okay. This one is Little Women by Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts. This was part of the Stitching Book Club. I have not finished the book, and I also have not finished the pattern, so I should probably do that. I was listening to it while stitching, so maybe I should pull it out again. And I'm stitching it on 14 count oatmeal using the called for DMC. And this is where we got to. Maybe I'll just have to stitch on it while I watch the movie. Or something. To make me actually want to stitch on it. Okay. Next. Is the Modern Folk Embroidery Move Forward in Love Pride Sal from 2022. I'm stitching this for my youngest sister-in-law, who I think she came out in 2021. I think. It was either 2020 or 2021. I haven't worked on this a lot. I'm stitching it on 16 count white, and I'm using Forbidden Fiber Co. colors instead of the DMC. And that is where we are at. I really need to pull this one out again. And then here, oh, that just hurt my wrist. Here are all of the colors. Alrighty, next we have Halloween Quaker. Ow. That does not feel good. Halloween Quaker by Leela's Studio. That's what it'll look like when it's all done. Ow, that really hurts my wrist. Why? Ow! Okay. I am stitching it on 18 count Haunted by Seraphim Fabrics. And I'm doing my own color conversion that I will go through in a second. And this is where we got to. I need to finish the crosses in the witch. I should do that. Just because it's easy to do. Okay. I won't go through all of the colors. So I am doing about half of the called for classic colorworks, and then I've subbed in my own for some as well. So I subbed in Weeks Dye Works Squash and Chartreuse for a couple colors. I liked the brighter colors instead. And then I subbed in Forbidden Fiber Co. Vanilla Blossom for Bamboo because I just needed a white. And then instead of Rainy Day by Classic Colorworks, I did Forbidden Fiber Co. Galaxy, which is a one-of-a-kind color that came in one of my Just Flossing clubs. So unfortunately you wouldn't be able to get that color unless you were part of that club. But I believe I purchased all of the called for to see, and then I ended up liking some of the more vibrant colors better. Okay. Next is Fervent Fall by Stone Street Stitchworks. That's what it'll look like when it's all done. And Stone Street Stitchworks Etsy shop is currently on a break. So if you want any of the patterns that I'm showing you, you're going to have to wait for her to come back. She'll be back mid-July, I think. And I'm doing my own conversion. I'm stitching it on 16 count Country French Cafe Mocha. A needle minder that I made myself with one of my aunts. It was originally just a magnet, and then it was gonna be, I don't remember, but I turned it into a needle minder. And I am using Victorian Motto Vampire for the red of the leaves, General Art Espresso Bean for the dark brown, Victorian Motto Shades of Cream for the house, and Victorian Motto turmeric, however you want to say it, for the small little pumpkin. Okay. I have a couple more projects to show you in this batch that I brought over, and then I'm going to press pause and grab my last few projects. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 projects, and we'll continue. This project is from Awesome Pattern Studio on Etsy. This is Miami. Ow. And maybe I need to go ice my wrist. I am stitching it on 16 count lamb's wool, and I'm using the called for DMC. This is where we are at. And yeah, call for DMC. That is a huge mess right now. Okay. And then I have my last city that I have started. This is one that I have, I want to say I think I have the most done on this one. Yeah. And I'm stitching it on 16 count Wren by Picture This Plus using the called for DMC. Oh no, this one I might have switched out 1 or 2. But this is Maui. And here is where we are at. I think some of these patterns are hard for me because when you really get into it, it's not full coverage as in it's covering the whole piece of fabric, but it is full stitches right next to each other. So they can be a little difficult to work on sometimes. But I should pull them out so I can start some of my other cities. I have a million cities downloaded from Awesome Pattern Studio. Okay, and last but certainly not least, even though I have not worked on it at all, this was the Fat Quarter Shop Stitch Along. I don't remember what year. I think it was 2022. And it's the Heartfelt Stitch Along. I did the other one. Oh my gosh, what is that called? The one from 2020? 2021? I don't know, it was blue. I'm probably gonna put it right there. And maybe today, who knows? Anyway, and then I realized that I never saw them announce this one. I'm stitching it on 14 count pale gray gingham. And I really don't have a lot done, and then this needle minder is from Haleakala National Park on Maui. And I just realized that I lost my needle somewhere on the table. Oh well. I need to work on it. I need to download the last... I got the DMC floss pack so that I didn't have to rummage through all my stuff to find it. And yeah, I need to download the final version of it and then finish it. Yeah, so that is my first round of projects. I will press pause and I don't know if I'm going to put these away, but I'm going to go grab my other ones and then we will finish. All right, we are back. So let's finish up. Excuse me. Up next, we have my largest project to date. It will be over 1 million stitches when it is complete. I have not worked on it since I started it in February of this year. Let's double check that. Yep, February 1st. This is Catching Rays by the Cross Stitch Studio. It is a full coverage piece. This is what it will look like when it is all done. It's gonna be beautiful. And I started in the upper left hand corner, and I'm stitching it on 25, either I think it's 25 or 28 count. I think it's 25. 25 count, easy count, white. And that's where we are so far. And I'm using the called for DMC. I really would like to work on this again. Oh, and I'm doing it half stitch. 1/1 half stitch. I would like to work on it again because it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And I see everyone get so much progress on their full coverage pieces. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how great would it be if I could get that much progress on it? And I'm like, well, you have to actually stitch on your full coverage pieces in order to see progress. I have 3 of them. I really need to work on one of them. Okay. Up next, all of these last ones are just gonna stay in the Q-snap, so I apologize if that bothers you. Up next, we have the Canada sampler from Stitchrovia. My dad's side of the family is Canadian. If you did not know, he grew up in Calgary, and I am stitching this for him. And I only have this side of the maple leaf left and the bottom, so that's where we're at. I did work on this for a few days in May. I think I worked on it for about a week in May. And I finished the wheat field right here. This is going to be a hockey stick. Did that. I finished the A. And then I started working on the totem. I did the cow in the field. And then I did this is the Parliament building. I did what you can see done of the Parliament building. And the totem still needs to come down a little bit. But that's where we're at. It'd be cool if I could get it done by his birthday, but that will not be happening because of the Summer Stitches Challenge and the fact that I kind of got sick of doing all of the browns. So my dad will get it eventually. Okay, up next is Long Dog Samplers, The Quilted Bees. This one I also have not worked on much since I started it. I don't think I'm gonna stitch the bees necessarily, but I just really love the pattern. So I'll probably just do the solid colors instead of the bees. And I'm stitching this on 16 count white chocolate. That's what we have done so far. And I think I'm doing most of the called for, except there was one that I did not understand why it was the called for. I don't remember which one it was, but I think it was a purple, and so I substituted it because it didn't look right to me. But here are the colors. They're so pretty. I would like to get further on this one as well. And I just got the PDF version. I think the issue is that I was trying to stitch it from the paper pattern. But I just got the PDF a little bit ago, so hopefully that'll help me want to work on it more. This was a birthday start in 2021. Okay. Next is the first full coverage piece I ever started. It is a Heaven and Earth design. It is a mini. And I saw this on Instagram. I can't remember who it was now. But I saw their finish of it and I was like, oh my gosh. I have to do that. And it is Minnie the Enchanted Christmas Reindeer by Donna Gelsinger. It just reminds me of, there was a picture book that my mom had that the artwork looked just like that. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to stitch it. I'm stitching this on I don't know. I think it is 25 count pewter Lugana 1/1 full cross, and that's where we're at so far. And this little needle minder I got off of Etsy. If you want a link to it, I can give you one. Oh, it's so cute. I would like to get down into the antlers, so I need to hurry it up. And I'm using all the called for DMC. Okay, and the very last project, certainly not least, is my only other long dog sampler. And this is Pandemic. And I'm stitching it 1/1. And I'm stitching it on 28 count Springfield Sage Lugana, and I am doing each page in a different color green because I was back in school for basically the pandemic. I had one semester back at school that was not during the pandemic. My spring semester is so I went for the fall, and then spring, and then halfway through spring is when COVID hit. Anyway, so here's where we are on that. For page 1, I have all of the colors that I'm using split up into different bags. The first row of pages is in this bag, and the first page I am using DMC 890, and then the next one I will do is 986. But we've got a minute to go before we do that, so that is all of my WIPs. I have had seven finishes this year so far, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of those were from 2022 or earlier. And 1 was a finish and start, or a start and finish, and then I've also UFO'd a couple things, I think. Right now I only have 1 listed, but that was 30 projects, and considering that I started 25 last year for my 25th year of being on the earth, I would say having 30 is pretty good. In 2022, I had 17 finishes. So 25 starts, 17 finishes, not too bad. And then this year, I've already had 7 finishes. So, not too shabby. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little WIP parade. I hope that you get some good stitching in while you watch/listen to it. I don't have really any starts planned. I have a whole one of these cubes. It has projects in there ready for me to start. They're kitted up. But right now I don't know if I see myself starting anything right away. So, yeah. I think we may just stick with these. Like I said, I've had 1 start and finish this year, and then my only other start this year has been catching rays. So, yeah, that's it. So, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you eventually. I think maybe if I don't have a baby before the end of the Summer Stitches Challenge, it might be fun to do a Summer Stitches Challenge recap so that we can see how much I got done, if I completed anything, all that. If you'd be interested in that, let me know. I could also just do a recap in a Flosstube video. But like I said, it depends on if I have a baby before that happens. We will see. We are at 36 and a half weeks. I've mentioned in previous videos that we have a little bit of a cord complication, so if she is not here by 39 weeks, then I'm getting induced. So we will see. But yeah, 36 and a half weeks, we're down to 2.5 weeks. So we will see. But I hope you enjoyed this WIP parade. If you did, leave it a like and a comment. I'll try to get back to you. If I don't get back to you, I will at least heart your comment and let you know that I saw it. Very busy over here getting ready to welcome new life into the world, so hope you understand if I don't get back to you, if I don't comment back to you. I hope you remember that someone always needs you, and I will see you next time. Bye.